Buddha is a little bit cut off. Yes, he won't mind. Let us pay homage to the Buddha. Please join your palms together and gently close your eyes. Invite the Buddha to your heart. And with your joined palms closer to your heart, recite Namo Tassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully self-awakened One. Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully self-awakened One. Homage to him, the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the fully self-awakened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, when Bhante asked me what topic I'd like to discuss this evening, what came to my mind is an experience I had with my father, who is an ordained Buddhist monk. He is now 78 years old. So I told Bhante that I will talk about seeing the Dhamma is seeing the Buddha. So that is what came to my mind. So quite recently I spoke with my father, and we have these sometimes short, sometimes long conversations. And this time he had just come from the hospital, and he was staying at my brother monk's monastery. My brother also, younger brother, is also a Buddhist monk in Sri Lanka. So because my dad just came from hospital, and we were talking about illnesses, old age, dying and all that, I asked him, what if you die? What should we do? This random question popped up, and I just asked him with no hesitation. He said, I'm dead, do whatever you like. So he just didn't care. He didn't have any procedure, a response, or what we should do, anything like that in mind. But I knew at the back of my head that he was not in good terms with my mother. And I'm a little bit responsible for that. Why? Because one time I had this conversation with my mother, and she revealed something about the family, and I wanted to verify this information with my father. And you know how you do like genealogy and family history stuff, so this felt like that. So I asked permission from my father, can I ask you about this thing? He said, okay, don't worry, just ask anything. So because of this permission, I asked him about this little detail of the family, and he responded saying that, no, she's lying. ever since he stopped talking to her. And I don't know how to mend what is broken at this time. So I've been trying to tell my mother that he's not talking to you, but he's talking to you with loving kindness. I kind of made that up and told my dad that this is supposed to be the way it should be. They used to talk a lot as husband and wife, and when even after his becoming a monk, they used to talk because that was their habit. And I told my brother monk about this, and I was asking him, what should he do about this? And he said, don't worry, they have the habit of talking, and it will naturally stop one day when they realize that this is just lay people and monks conversation, and if it goes into family matters, my mom complaining about my niece did, her granddaughter did this, or all of that might go to my father, and he might one day end up getting sick of hearing all these stories, which actually happened, and he stopped that constant communication. So that's that other story. So now I asked my dad that day, what if you are born as a worm in my mother's house somewhere? According to the concept of rebirth, one may be born somewhere, or in an unhappy plane of existence, or in a happy plane of existence. Sometimes you never know what your state of mind will be like when at the time of your passing away. So I just raised that question, and he said, no, that won't happen. I see the Buddha all the time. I see him, and he's in my mind all the time. I said, how, how can you see him? I said, the Buddha is like a candle. When the candle flame is gone, you cannot trace this flame. The Buddha is like that. When conditions are present, he will be there, the flame will be there. When the conditions are absent, the flame won't be there. The Buddha won't be there. He said, no, the Buddha is alive, he's sleeping, reclining in this reclining posture in the famous Ruangvelisaya pagoda, the big stupa in Sri Lanka. What you see here at our temple is a replica of it. So you have 100 times bigger one in Sri Lanka, in this city, ancient kingdom of Anuradhapura. So my dad loves to visit that place. He gets on the bus and travels all night, gets there and come back after circumambulating and doing all his meditations and all that. So his belief is that the Buddha is still there in that pagoda. And this was very nice to hear. And I said, what else do you see? And he said, I see God Vishnu also there. So I know where that comes from. He was a strong believer of these gods, and he had statues of them. So the Buddha was placed in the center, little bit in this higher elevated place, and then the other statues on either side of the Buddha. He would light lamps, candles every day, and he must come home every evening as a layperson before he became a monk to light these candles, because he believed that these deities would punish him had he forgotten to light these candles daily. So he had visualized the Buddha and visualized this Vishnu in his mind. And I told him this little story. I said, two friends went to Himalayas with a wooden Buddha statue to meditate. And these two friends had a fantastic time, but this one day they ran out of firewood. The only thing they had wooden was this Buddha statue. And one of them decided to burn the statue. He decided to meditate all night because he was very close to attaining his realization. The other friend said, no, it's not good. It's a bad karma. It's a sin to burn this statue. You can commit that karma. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to leave you here. I will find some firewood, and I don't want to see you burning the statue. So he left. The other friend who remained burnt this statue and had a very peaceful night and came to his final realization. The next morning, he went looking for his friend. All he found was a dead body. So the elements took him ultimately. And as soon as I finished this story, my dad was like, Buddhu Ammo, which is his surprise, How can that be? That's very bad that he died, so he was a little bit shocked. I said, all these images, visualizations are mental constructs. So I told him little by little how conditionally recent experiences come into being, how they also cease every moment. I told him, for example, when you hear something, the ear is manifested. When you see something, the eye is manifested. When you smell something, the nose is manifested. Other times, the physicality of it, the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, well, mind, not so much physicality, eye, ear, nose, tongue, and body will be there, but you may be staring at someone, and yet because your hearing is active, at that point, only that sense faculty is manifested and active, and others are not there. So I told him that there is this arising and passing away that happens continuously. If you only experienced seeing, you will not hear. You will, if seeing never ceased, you will never hear. You will never smell. So these are conditionally arisen all the time. What does that mean? If you have read the Honeyball Sutta, Madhupindika Sutta, there the Buddha talks about the experience being arisen and the cessation of it. That famous Pali line that goes as Chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku viññānam. Sounds Greek, right? Chakkuncha paticca, dependent on the eye, dependent on the eye, rupecha, and the visuals, uppajjati, what arises is chakku viññānam. So the eye consciousness arises. Dependent on the eye and the visuals, eye consciousness arises. The meeting of the three, what three? Eye, the visuals, and the eye consciousness. Meeting of these three is eye contact. So, dependent on eye contact, there is eye feeling. What is the eye feeling? It can be a pleasant feeling, an unpleasant feeling, or a neutral feeling. These are the three kinds of feelings that we discuss in Buddhism. So the eye is that way leading onward toward this experience of seeing something and making a contact and then feeling something. What one feels, one perceives. Yang vedeti tan sanjanati. What one feels, one perceives. And what one perceives, one proliferates. Well, before even that, one thinks about them. Then what one thinks about, one proliferates. This is the order that the Honey Bowl Discourse talks about the experience finally manifesting a subject, a person. You see what one feels, there you see a person coming into being. We, because of our delusion, we perceive a false sense of a person in there who experiences it, and we only see the experience being arisen, not the cessation of it, because our wisdom is not developed enough for us to see the cessation of it. Only after developing that kind of wisdom, with that kind of mindfulness, that kind of insight, you are able to see the cessation of each experience. And there you see, oh, if every experience ceases like that, how can I say that there is a person here, a self that is a permanent self? So you come to the understanding that experiences arise and then they pass away, and this happens all the time. So I told my father that this is how you see the Buddha. When you see dependent co-arising. Why did I say co-arising? It's the eye, the visuals, and then the eye consciousness. That those three coming together makes an eye contact. The same thing happens with the ear, nose, tongue, body, and the mind. So these are experiences that are arisen together, not independently. So I explained all that to him, and he saw, oh, this is how you see the Dhamma, and this is how you actually visit what the Buddha saw, and how he revealed the dependent co-arising, the truth about suffering, the truth about craving being manifested, the truth about the self, and all these teachings. So he, for the first time we had that conversation, and he was quite pleased with that explanation. And I guess we ended the conversation there. And the next morning, my brother monk, my father monk, and myself, we had another conversation about the hospital tests and all that. So at the end of that conversation, I asked my father, do you remember our conversation from yesterday? He said, I forgot everything you told me. He's 78. So this was so good to hear for me that I realized, what you should realize, you should endeavor to realize it sooner in your life. Because later you might end up forgetting things. You might end up not remembering what you heard when you listened to monks, when you listened to those Dhamma talks. So, but anyway, he did listen to it, and I'm willing to explain this to him again and again and again, whenever he is interested in hearing this from me. And this is how I see the Buddha, not a visualization, not a living entity somewhere inside a pagoda, in a heavenly plane, in a star, in a planet, in some corner of the universe. That's not where we see the Buddha. We see him in the teachings that he revealed to the world, and we see the Buddha through that insight that made him awakened, made him the Buddha. Because when you visualize him, you visualize a kind of a personification of him, the way you see him. Like if you go to Burmese temple, you see a Burmese version of a Buddha. You go to Sri Lankan temples, you see a Sri Lankan version of the Buddha. You go to Chinese temple, you see Chinese version of the Buddha. So people visualize the Buddha differently, and all these are manomaya, mind-made. But when you actually see how that image is arisen, how that image is born in your mind, you do actually see the Buddha through his teachings, through his wisdom, through what he revealed to the world. That way, you are truly giving a gift to the Buddha, not like giving flowers, not like giving lights, not like giving fragrances. You are giving your gift of the practice, which is the best gift, the Buddha said, that you can give to the Buddha. Ultimately, when you develop that kind of wisdom, when you develop that kind of insight, what you do to yourself is super interesting. You make some changes in the way you perceive the world, and there is true personality development that happens in you. You choose to cultivate the wholesome states in your mind and abandon what is unwholesome, because you see all these experiences that you experience in life are transient, that they are not permanent, they are not to be identified with. Anger, jealousy, frustration. You know how fast your tongue can be when you are in an angry state of mind. You can have a sharp tongue. You don't realize it until you are presented with those conditions, with your co-workers, with your colleagues or housemates, family members. You can be little spicy. Then what follows is regret. They say, you go to Bhante Saranapala's meditation every week. Look, you are the person who is getting very angry. Are you even mindful? Then this makes you angry even more. You slam the door and the door didn't do anything to deserve that. It's not the door that is angry. It's inside you. It is in your mind that you experience this much heat, anger. In that moment, you can definitely cultivate wholesome states. Wisdom is that this anger is something the Buddha abandoned. By abandoning anger, he made this decision that he is never returning to anger, which made him a non-returner. Not only anger, but also lust. He made this decision that I'm going to abandon that too. I've had enough of it in my life, in my previous lives as well. I'm going to put an end to it. And he became a non-returner. Imagine the mind of a person who never returns to anger. That must be a very peaceful person to live with. Are we lucky enough to have that kind of people around us? Very rare. Very rare. You know, I guess it's in the simile of the soul, I guess it's middle-length discourses number 21, where there is a story of this house helper, and her mistress, Vedika, who had a great reputation as a very peaceful lady in this neighborhood. And the Kali, the helper, wanted to challenge her. Kali's thinking was that, are you peaceful because I do a neat, great job in my work? Or are you truly peaceful because you have peace in your mind? Kali decided to get up late, and this angered the lady, and she even got up later the following day, and the third day she really took a couple of hours to get up and do the housework, and this triggered her anger so much, and she took a rolling pin and gave a blow to the head of Kali, splitting her head. And Kali ran into the neighborhood and announced to the neighbors, look, this work of the peaceful one. She did this to me. So Kali won. Also she lost. Because she used this really bad way to test the anger, test the patience of her house lady. There are many people like that who are peaceful as long as they have pleasant conditions in their environment. The husband can be very peaceful when wife does everything and the house responsibilities are taken care of, and the wife can be the same way. So this can be a test for us every time when one is angry, the other one has to be quiet. You know all these things. There's this story that came to my mind. This lady went to a doctor and asked, my husband gets angry so much, what should I do? And the doctor said, every time he gets angry, put some water into your mouth and keep it in your mouth, swirling. And she did that. 2 weeks later, she went to the doctor. She said, every time my husband got angry, I did what you told me. How can water do that? The doctor said, it's not water doing it, it's you keeping your mouth shut. That kind of stops this anger triggers. Sometimes, we have to start somewhere to be like the Buddha. And to be like the Buddha, we need to see what he truly gave up, what he cultivated. To be like the Buddha, you abandon anger, you abandon greed, you abandon so much aversion, delusion, all of that, ultimately purifying your mind and bringing your mind to the purest state possible. For this, we cultivate meditation, we develop insight, we listen to talks, and we need to continuously keep that in our mind. If we forget, we become little forgetful, and we lose track of our practice, and we become little corrupted, shaken, and when we are presented with worldly conditions, we don't know how the wholesome states come and help you overcome these challenges. I believe when you listen to the teachings, ultimately you are choosing peace, you are choosing the Eightfold Path that starts with right view, right speech, right actions, right livelihood, right effort, and right mindfulness, right stillness. These are to be developed. Why? Because there are many wrong ones out there that you may be introduced to. So if any of these practices that you are taught with or given with, if they lead you to that goal of never returning to anger, that you see that you are seeing true personality change, you are seeing the Buddha in you, if you are seeing that you are able to let go of things easily, your toxicity level goes from 10 to like 6 and then to even lower, below 5. Ultimately a peaceful state. And you imagine beforehand, not like at the age of 78 like my father's. When you just imagine that you are in sick bed and you need water. No one is giving you water. They just put a little bit of water into a sponge and put into your mouth. You have two choices. You can get angry about it. You can be like a Buddha and radiate loving kindness toward oneself and toward this person who is either giving it to you or never giving it to you. It doesn't matter. Why? Because where you keep your mind, that focus in Dhamma is what protects you ultimately. And someone may never show up to turn your body. You will have soreness, you will develop ulcers, skin rashes and all that. You can be angry about it, or you can cultivate this very peaceful state of mind now. If you don't start now, that may not be the perfect environment for you to develop these qualities. You start now. Slowly you will see true personality change is happening. Slowly you will see that you used to get angry about these things. You used to demand and command and get angry and make noises. But now you are quite helpless. And if you can keep your heart in loving kindness, in compassion, in altruistic joy, in equanimity, you are truly a Buddha-like. You don't resist, you just have wisdom to see these things. You don't think like, how can I get rid of anger? You just understand anger. By understanding its true nature, by having right view, you see the Buddha in it. You see letting go. You see that getting angry is like drinking poison and wanting somebody else to die. This never happens. Getting angry is like keeping some charcoal that is burning in your palm and wanting your enemy to get burned. This never happens. All you have to do is to just let that image go, like burning the Buddha, like burning that enemy away and seeing an image of a loving Buddha in your mind, which can be alive, not visually, but through Dhamma. When you see Dhamma, when you see truth, when you see true teachings, you do actually see the Buddha. Questions?
I think I used to have much more fortitude and patience than I do now. I've started working in a job where I feel I see a lot of cruelty and abuse of power and maliciousness and obstinacy and all these things. And I've been finding that I've been coming that way myself, and it's gotten to the point where whenever I'm not working, the last thing I think about when I go to bed and the first thing I think about when I wake up is, if it's not things I have seen that anger me, it is ways I feel that, I know this sounds silly, but ways I have feel that I have been wronged in the process. It's very intense. I don't know what, it's troubling me the extent to which this has been affecting me. What would you recommend if this is the situation I'm in?
Thank you for that wonderful question. You are not the only one experiencing this injustice and rudeness, chaos. People can definitely respond different ways. You can also react with anger. Sometimes you just contain all of that, which is really unhealthy for you. I hear this many times, as long as you put yourself into a work environment where sometimes people use anger to get things done. I studied at Harvard Divinity School where we talked about righteous anger, protesting to get something done from the government. These are things that that the world, so the society normalizes. And in one sense you can say that this is the greatest place to be, so you can show respect and reverence to this anger that you feel toward such individuals, because it's ultimately a manifestation in your mind, dependent on the environment. Another option would be to find alternatives where you don't really necessarily have to go through such circumstances. You don't have to put yourself through these individuals or these toxic environments any longer. If you can, I know it's not easy to quit and find another quick alternative. There might be reasons why we want to stay with these people. Yeah.
One thing that I'm struggling with is I work with disabled adults in a group home, and there have been times in this, it's gotten better for sure, but there have been times I have seen people do things that are, I would say, should not happen and you should not be doing to someone in that position, especially the staff who are supposed to care, can be very ill-informed, can be very, can be cruel and can be ignorant, and there have been moments where I felt like I was the only person who was really thinking about what the clients were feeling and what the people were supposed to protect were feeling. And sometimes I feel like if I leave this situation, I'm turning my back on people who need it. How does one view that situation?
I guess in other words, you are experiencing compassion toward these individuals who are in need of your care and attention, and also in a way you are protecting them. So you are giving a sense of protection. In your experience, you are giving this protection to them as best as you can, because you also have your own limitations sometimes in a work environment, because these people are in these authoritative positions sometimes, as I can hear from you. Well, I'm not saying that not protecting them is, when we are not given enough power to act and do things, sometimes we have to surrender to those circumstances. And do take actions within our own capacity. That does not ruin our work relationships with certain individuals, because the moment you become the villain, they double it. And that they create this very unpleasant work environment where you become the problem. They use that abusive power to overpower you. So we need to be able to predict the human mentality, but not bring us down to that level where we have to act in their way. So you can anyway radiate compassion to them, write about it, be a little anonymous about it, and make sure that these people are taken care of, and at the same time have loving kindness to you, to those powerful people, and to the recipients of this abuse, which protects your heart from toxicity, anger, whether or not you decide to stay in this environment.
It's funny, I feel like when I started I was so trying to give people that loving kindness, but it's funny because certain individuals always find ways to really see how they can push what you're willing to forgive,
Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you.
Yeah. We'll all be sending loving kindness your way. Thank you for sharing. Any other questions? The Buddha said those who ask questions will be born wise next lifetime. So I'm sorry about those who didn't ask Anything.
Do you get angry?
Oh yes. I always think of that story of mindfulness from Thich Nhat Hanh, closing the door, and that helped me a lot. There was this, he was the novice monk at the time, he was very young, so his teacher never asked him to do anything. But this one day, this was a very simple task, so his teacher asked him to bring the meditation bell, very tiny meditation bell, and the novice monk got super excited about this honor of having, being able to do something to his teacher. So he got excited and he slammed the door behind, was running toward the meditation bell, and the teacher stopped him and said, "My dear child, now come back. Now close the door again." So this time he closed it with full of his presence. His teacher never had to remind him again on how to close the door. And he learned that lesson and he practiced it as the best teaching he received from his teacher. Very nice. So one day, having become a famous teacher himself, Thich Nhat Hanh was visiting Thomas Merton in Connecticut in the US. They met in this Trappist monastery together, and Thich Nhat Hanh was closing a door very gently and told this story to Thomas. And Thomas responded, "Before even you told me this story, I saw how much presence you give to such a simple activity that we often ignore." Thomas felt so inspired, and he, after Thich Nhat Hanh left, he shared this story with his congregation, and there was a German lady from the Catholic background in that audience. She flew to Plum Village to see how Thich Nhat Hanh closed the door. See, in those moments, you see, you can, like I said earlier, you can slam a door, show your frustration, you can show your state of mind with an act like that. You can also bring your full presence of mind to that activity and gently close. When you are living with other people, they always do things to trigger your anger, such as, closing those cupboards really loud and slamming doors and leaving windows open, leaving their coffee cups, not washed, leaving stuff in the sink and bits of food in the sink. All these are ways that, not changing the last toilet paper roll to the next new one, or not wiping the toilet seat. The list goes on. You can find faults all day long. And you can get that cup, wash it, and place it. If you have to do it 100 times, you do it. Why? Because it brings peace to your mind, to your heart. And it's not about them. It's about how you hold these experiences in your heart. So I always think about that story. Many other stories, I don't want to go on and on sharing too much. So this way you bring your presence to it. That moment I realized that this is the path that the Buddha walked. This is what he abandoned. Why do I have to be burdened with such fast emotion that I can feel? And I see, I used to get angry a lot with my mother, with my father, and that's actually why I became a monk. Anger was huge in the house. I may have shared that story different times. One time I was so angry that this medicine was so important this oil that my dad had was so important to him. I threw that on the wall of the house and I left, never went back. And I remembered the smile of monks, and I ended up going to the monastery and asking for ordination. So anger can take you in those directions also. And I never went back. And ultimately my dad, 10 years later, he became a monk, my brother became a monk. So our lives have evolved and changed a lot. When you are a 16-year-old, there's so much of anger that you experience, frustration. Sometimes this leads to suicidal thoughts, because that too is a form of anger that one experiences. I've been in that direction. So you know now with enough wisdom that anger is a manifestation of your mind, and you can definitely cultivate wisdom to understand it, let go of it, and keep letting go of it until there is no more to let go of. And then when you see frustration, I once ordained this person for 2 weeks, and he was so frustrated that the robe wasn't staying in the order that he wants it to. So he just dropped the robe, and he called me. And I said, treat it as reverent anger, venerable anger. It is there for us to show where our attachments are. And he loved it. And every moment he got frustrated with that experience, he looked it as an experience to cultivate wisdom, develop insight, let go, and see the true Buddha in that moment. Guess that's good enough for today. We can meditate. Come to a resting state bodily. As you hear the sound of the bell, the third time, gently close your eyes, keeping your spine upright with a beautiful, calm, serene smile on your face. You breathe in and breathe out. Simply let go. If you are burdened by the past actions, incidents, memories, thoughts, in the present, in the now, come to your breath that is also happening now. Smile with it. Breathe in and breathe out quietly. Invite loving kindness to your heart and welcome all experiences, sounds, thoughts, emotions with this loving kindness. Beautify them with loving kindness, allowing them to be. There is no controlling. There is only recognizing, releasing, relaxing, and returning to your breath lovingly. With the full presence of your mind, you breathe in. With the full presence of your mind, you breathe out. Allow the natural rhythm of your breath be revealed to your awareness. If your foot falls asleep, you gently, mindfully bring peace and calmness by adjusting your posture, bringing loving kindness to that experience. As you breathe in and breathe out, you start to relax from the crown of your head down to the soles of your feet. Relaxing your forehead, your eyebrows relaxed, your eyes are resting and relaxed. Relax the back of your head. Relax your tongue and jaws. You may bring your chin slightly backward as you adjust your vertebrae. Your shoulders at ease. As you breathe in, bring your shoulders all the way up and drop your shoulders as you breathe out. Like an ice melting on top of your head, there is a sense of coolness that spreads in all parts of your body. Your neck is resting on your spine, your elbows relaxed, your palms and fingers starting to feel some level of stillness. Your awareness is anchored to your breath. You allow your lotus-like mind to be touched with the light of wisdom, so the lotus mind begins to bloom. The outer petals, like 5 hindrances, are slowly fading away, creating conditions for the inner petals to bloom, showing delicate, fragranceful, attractive nature from within. Experience the coolness of your breath as you breathe in, and experience the warmth of your breath as you breathe out. Experience the space between some thoughts when you can. Including the thought of relaxing this body. Your sit bones relaxed. Your chest and the belly relaxed. You recognize distractions as they arise. Release them from your attention. Bring a wholesome smile back to your heart, mind, and face. And repeat this process. Returning to the wholesome side with sincerity, with right intentions. Now, from the soles of your feet down, you are getting deeply rooted to the ground below. So you let the body be and you become like the open sky, where clouds appear and disappear. No need to do anything about them. When conditions are present, they appear, and they disappear when the conditions disappear. If pain, irritation, numbness arise, you can always change your posture with loving kindness inwardly and outwardly, taking it as an opportunity to experience the Buddha in that one moment, to walk the mind of the Buddha, knowing that the difference between the Buddha and us is that we don't know who we are. We are slowly learning who we actually are. Our personality types, levels of sufferings, the ability to let go of things. So let's come back to the breath, letting the body be. Your awareness is once again anchored to your breath. You know you are breathing in, you know you are breathing out. Let the body be and experience the luminous and spacious nature of your mind. Mind leading the mind into more serenity, spacious, calm, stillness. You become like a pond where on the surface some ripples appear and disappear. Deep within there is calmness, stillness welling up. In that mind space, recognize sloth and torpor, doubt, restlessness, aversion, and attachments to sensual desire. Imagine being free from them, like you've taken a loan and paid it off. Like you are walking in the desert and reached to safety. To a sanctuary. Like seeing snakes on a trail and not stepping on them. Honoring, respecting their true nature and leaving them behind. This is the way to see the Buddha, through abandoning the 5 hindrances and creating conditions in your mind for relief, joy, and making more of it without being afraid of this wholesome joy. There's no need to suffer anything at this moment. If it helps, you may radiate loving kindness inwardly and outwardly to all beings in all directions, seen, unseen, near, far away. Like when you are seeing limping dog, a cow on the street, your heart is throbbing with compassion, so you radiate that kind of compassion to all beings, including yourself. Like you are winning a lottery, your friend has won, and you are full of joy, and you can radiate that joy from your heart to your friend and all beings. When that joy fades away, there is equanimity, acceptance, and that too can be radiated from within to outside, inwardly and outwardly. When you see a little baby crying without speaking any word, you understand, you try to understand what they actually need. When you hold them tight, there is loving kindness in your heart. When they take their first step, you have joy. When they go living their life on their own, you accept it with equanimity. These are many ways you can bring wholesome states to your heart and radiate them inwardly and outwardly, while being anchored to your breath whenever needed. So the remaining minutes, about 8 or so, you'll be meditating on your own in silence. You'll hear the sound of the bell when it's time to come out of your meditation. can slowly come out of your meditation, emerging from it. Lift up prayers to those that you keep in your heart who are experiencing illnesses, pains, emotional or physical these days. Let's also bring to mind those departed relatives and those who are in pain, suffering. All that, may all beings receive our merits and rejoice in our good karma, and may they have a happy continuation. With these intentions in our heart, let us share merits with humans, non-humans, and all beings. May suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for coming. You will be greeted by Bhante Saranapala next week. Have a peaceful night.